there. Welcome to October. Can you believe that we're already here at October this year? Year goes by fast. I always say when the Burr months get here, it's like the next year before you know it. So, anyway, we are starting October. This is October week 1 coming up. We're talking about courage this month, also known in English as courage, and excited to do this with you this month. Just wanted to give a quick couple of announcements, updates, practical things, and then talk about what we're looking at the story this week. As you know, we're kind of continuing where we left off with the story of Joseph, and then what happens next. So we'll get to that in just a second. I just wanted to say, if you received this email today as like a forward or not directly from the subscription thing or whatever, if you haven't been receiving these emails for quite a while, go ahead and click the link down below this video back in the email and put in your email address, sign up to be subscribed to this so that you can know what's going on and be better prepared for the kids ministry. And also, if you haven't already, download the Lead Small app, which is going to help you as well to keep track of your kids, keep track of your small group, and it's going to help you in the future. So, with that, I'm going to get right into it and just kind of look through. I want you guys to know that. So, the month of October is the beginning of us really trying to do small groups. And I know more than anybody, or I agree with you perhaps, that change is hard. Like, change is the toughest thing for me, I think, in my life sometimes. Like, ugh, for me, starting a new job is like the worst thing in the world. I'd rather get teeth pulled than start a new job, and I've had a lot of teeth pulled in my day. So floss, kids. Anyway, change is hard, and I get that. But with small groups, we're not really trying to do anything different than we already were doing. We're just gonna do what we were already doing differently. Wow, say that 20 times fast. So, just to kind of give you an example, first off, I should say, when we say small groups, don't think that, like, oh my goodness, everything is changing, this is going to be crazy. We're taking this in steps, and we are completely saying that this is not going to happen overnight. This is something that we're trying, our goal is to have it set up and great by the end of this school year. But starting this week, this first week of October, we are we're attempting it. We're heading down the road and we're breaking up into small groups. And if that means that in your class it's just you and one other leader and you're just splitting the class in half, hey, that is great. That is a huge step forward to small group ministry, which is what we're trying to do. We have life groups, and small group, life group. Same thing for the kids world. We call them small groups in the kids world more because lead small is the philosophy, the curriculum that we're going by. But you can think of it as a life group. It's just like the rest of the church. Hopefully, you're in a life group with people from the church, and we're hoping that kids have their life groups on Sundays because that's the day of the week that we have them during the week, right? So, just to show you a little bit of an example for this week as we get ready to go into small groups, we look at a couple of the activities that we have here. First, starting in the kinder and first world, the first one is called Act It Out. And so, what I would say is if you're splitting the class into two, this is the way I would do it. You'll have one group. This activity here doesn't need the tables and chairs. So, have this group out in the open space. You're reenacting the story. The leader is reading these scenarios, the script, if you will, and the kids are acting it out. So that may take about 10 minutes. At the same time, another group who could use the tables then will be doing this called Choose Your Own Ending. And what you're doing here is each kid gets a piece of paper, you're folding it in half, and then in half again, which ends up making four even, quadrants, if you will. It's a great word, quadrant. And you're giving them a scenario. So a new kid just joined your class. She looks nervous and not really happy. And the kid is supposed to draw what they think is going to happen next. At the end of that, you have this whole thing, talking about how you can trust that God has a plan even when you don't know what will happen next. So after you guys have done that first, well, let's just call this a rotation. The first rotation is one group is doing act it out, the other group is doing choose your own ending. Then you're gonna switch. So the groups will switch. So half the class will be doing one thing, the other class will be doing the other, and then you're gonna switch. And then after you go, another 5-10 minutes, then we're gonna switch to a time of prayer, and we can go through this. And I'll let you look through this on your own on the Lead Small app. Then we'll go through this time of prayer, and then that'll be the end of small groups. So it's not any different than we're already normally doing. It's just that we're splitting up a little bit, and when we split up the classes, you have a smaller set of kids to manage, and also you get to know the kids better than you would when they're all in a big group. Because honestly, we only have, for small group time, our best amount of time that we can get to right now is 30 minutes, and that's max. Sometimes most of the times, we are less than that. So if we're looking at second and third, their activity is similar. What happens next? Except for this one, they have an activity page. So this is where kids could be at the tables half the kids could be at the tables for this one. I'll let you read that. Oh wait, am I mixing them up? Let's see. This one, okay, this one they don't need the thing. They're not drawing with this one. They're just looking at them. So this is where they could be away from the tables. And while the other group is doing this one, the What's Next comic strips, which is kind of similar to what the Kinder First kid's doing, except this one has a whole activity page with it. So I'll let you read through that. But generally speaking, there's going to be one activity that will require, markers, glue, crayons, that kind of stuff. And the other one will be more of a, move around thinking type of activity. So all we're thinking is just we'll split it up. Instead of everybody doing one and then doing the other, we'll split it up. Half the class will do the one activity, the other half will do the other, and then we'll switch. And again, at the end of the third time, then we will do some praying at the end. Take prayer requests and just be praying for the week in general. So I hope that helps out a little bit when it comes to small groups. I know it can be intimidating, and when we say, we're starting small groups, and you can think like, what does that mean? Well, like I said, it's not entirely different than normal. I think the last thing on the announcement front, as of right now, is that at the 10 o'clock, we are going to be shooting a video for the upcoming Cultivate and State of the Church gatherings that are coming up. And so the schedule is going to be a little bit different. Well, we will be generally, this is like subject to change, but we're going to be shooting the video at 10:15. So we're going to be in large group from 10 until 10:15. We'll go shoot the video, and depending on how long that takes, that's going to kind of decide what happens the rest of the time. I'm expecting it could take up to 20 minutes or so. So the game plan as of right now is that we'll be there. We'll do large group till 10:15. We may end up going back to large group after to complete the story. But either way, we're going to do a video story this week just because of time. And then we'll go back and we'll discuss that in our huddle this Sunday. So talking about the story this week, I just want to give you some background in case you're preparing, thinking about the story. I'm always fascinated, and I really love that Orange includes like the background scripture to the story sometimes when we're not going over that a whole lot. But it's good to have some background. So at the end of Genesis, after the story that we completed last week with the kids, Joseph ends up dying at 110 years old, according to Genesis 50:26. And in Exodus chapter 1, 6 through 7, it says, all of his brothers and the whole generation died. But I'm quoting the Bible now. It says, "But the people of Israel were fruitful and increased greatly. They multiplied and grew exceedingly strong, so that the land was filled with them." 8 through 11, verses 8 through 11. Basically, a Pharaoh comes along, a king comes along. He doesn't know Joseph. He doesn't care about any of that stuff. And he says, "Man, these Israelites, there's too many of them. Let's make them slaves, or they're going to take over us." And this is what I love, because it's like whatever you try to do against God, God's like, no, I have a plan. chapter 1 verse 12 says, "But the more they were oppressed, the more they multiplied and the more they spread abroad." So Pharaoh's like, "Wait a minute. This didn't work at all." And in 15 through 22, whoops, messed that up. In 15 through 22 of chapter 1 in Exodus, Pharaoh tells all the midwives to kill all the male babies. But the midwives feared God more than they feared Pharaoh, and they didn't do it. And Pharaoh's like, "Hey, what's the deal? I told you to kill all them." And they're like, "Geez, Pharaoh, here's the thing. Those Hebrew women, they are just way too strong at having babies. I mean, their water breaks and that kid is out and, already shaving by the time that we're able to get there." And Pharaoh's not having any of it. So he says, "You know what? Look, when these Hebrew women have kids, you need to throw the males into the river and let the females live because we'll use them for our own needs." And so that's kind of where we are when we meet in chapter 2 Moses's mother and father. And so that's what our story this week is all about, is chapter 2 verse 1 through 10. Moses's mother throws him in the, well, doesn't throw him, she she trusts God, and she has courage, and she puts him in a basket in the river. He's found by, the story, he's found by Pharaoh's daughter, who ends up using Moses's mom to take care of him until he's old enough. But here's something that I thought was so great, is at the end of uh, our passage that we're looking at this week, verse 10, it says, "When the child grew older, she brought him," and she is Pharaoh's daughter, the mom. "So when the child grew older, she brought him to Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. She named him Moses because," she said, "I drew him out of the water." And we can read these in our Bible sometimes, and if they don't have like the footnotes, we're like, "Okay, that's weird. I don't know what that means." But my Bible has a little footnote after this, and it says Moses sounds like the Hebrew for draw out. And that, I tell you, is so interesting because Pharaoh's daughter had no idea what was going to happen in Moses' future. She's calling him draw out because she drew him out of the water. But I believe that even more so, God had a way bigger plan, as we all know, bigger than this, to where Moses, who's named Draw Out, is going to end up leading the people out of Egypt as God draws out his people from oppression in Egypt. And I just think that's so cool, the way that God works like that. So I hope that was helpful to you this week. Again, if you haven't signed up for the email subscription yet, go ahead and do so, and look forward to seeing you guys this Sunday. By the way, if you made it this far, this week is Food Sunday, so expect breakfast courtesy of the Well Kids Ministry this week. Looking forward to seeing you. Until next time, so long.